present all empty, adorafti, adorafti, amanaw, gweithio yn ofi, adorafti, adorafti, amanaw, amanaw, the present all empty, adorafti, adorafti, amanaw, gweithio yn ofi, adorafti, adorafti, rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw aduniadau, gŵr y gweithiau, golau'n yswyrgio, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw aduniadau, gŵr y gweithiau, golau'n yswyrgio, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Yma nawr, dy gyffyrddiad di, adorafti, adorafti. Yma nawr, iachau calonnau ni, adorafti, adorafti. Yma nawr, ti'n newid mywyd i, adorafti, adorafti. Yma nawr, yn pyr o'n nghalon fi, adorafti, adorafti. A rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw adunedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twygwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw adunedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twygwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. 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 Yeah. Diolch i ti, Oli. Diolch i ti. Fy ngol y diffygio, ti'n brwydro. Fy ngol y diffygio, ti'n brwydro. Fy ffydd sydd yn siglo, ti'n brwydro. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Fy ngol y diffygio, ti'n brwydro. Fy ffydd sydd yn siglo, ti'n brwydro. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Fy ngolwg diffygio, ti'n brwydro. Fy ffydd sydd yn siglo, ti'n brwydro. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Fy ngolwg diffygio, ti'n brwydro. Fy ffydd sydd yn siglo, ti'n brwydro. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Dros o'n ni, ti'n brwydro'n ddiddiwedd. Creu llwybrau, cadw adunedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n yswygwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw adunedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n yswygwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. 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 cadw a ddinedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Creu gwybrau, cadw a ddinedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Yn ôl di, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. Yma nawr, yn gweithio yn ôl fi, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. Yma nawr, dy bres yn ôl di. Gŵr y gweithio, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw a ddinedau, gŵr y gweithio, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Yma nawr, dy gyffyrddiad di, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. Yma nawr, iachau calonnau ni, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. Yma nawr, ti'n newid mywyd i, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. Yma nawr, yn pyr o'n nghalon fi, a ddolaf di, a ddolaf di. A rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw a ddinedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. Rwyt ti'n creu llwybrau, cadw a ddinedau, gŵr y gwirthiau, golau'n y twagwch, fynyw, dyna pwy wyt ti. 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 Dyna pwy.
Gwynebyd a rhai a foen. Gwynebyd a rhai a foen. Oherwydd gant oed y beddydd ddau. Oed y beddydd ddau. Gwynebyd a rhai a foen. Gwynebyd a rhai a foen. Oherwydd cant oed y beddydd
Well, noswaith dda, ffrindiau. A good evening to you all. Croeso cynnes I bawb yma heno I ddathlu a diolch am fywyd yn ffrind ni, Phil Wyman. A warm welcome to you all on this special evening to celebrate and give thanks for our dear friend Phil Wyman. Croeso cynnes I chi o le bynnag I chi wedi dod, ffrindiau wedi dod o bell ag agos. A warm welcome to you all. Some have travelled just round the corner, some have come from Derby, some from Wrexham, and of course we are hugely honoured to have Elijah and Rachel with us tonight. We really appreciate that you've come here to be with us and experience what Phil fell in love with, which was us and Wales somehow. But there we go. A big hello also to anyone who's watching online. So I think it's kind of mid-morning in California, so I hope you're enjoying your pancakes and bacon and maple syrup and all those healthy foods you Americans enjoy for breakfast. And those of you on the East Coast, I hope you're enjoying, I don't know, biscuits and gravy or some weird food combinations like that we just don't understand. But seriously, it's wonderful to have you join us online. So it's a bittersweet occasion, of course. It would have been nice to have a celebration of what Phil is about and what Phil wanted to do without this being the circumstances. You know, it would have been great to have a celebration like this to launch him on his great tour around Wales, which he was planning on doing. But there we are. This is the occasion we find ourselves in. This is the day the Lord has given us. And we hope that, although Phil isn't here with us, that we will feel some of Phil's love for every one of us and his love for his God amongst us tonight. So the philosopher Nietzsche, I'll talk a bit of philosophy now because that's what Phil would have done. The philosopher Nietzsche once said that life without music would be a mistake. So you'll be glad to hear that most of this evening will be us singing together and listening also to some of Phil's friends singing. We're blessed tonight to have Sarah and Guy leading us in some songs. Trey in the band will lead all of us in some singing. And also some of Phil's friends from the open night evening will be singing one of Phil's songs for us, but if you know the words, join in as well. Now, one of the ideas Phil had for his pilgrimage around Wales was to set up what he called a rockfa gani. So in Wales, we have this slightly odd tradition, really, of the cymanfa gani, where all the chapels in the community would come together and they'd just sing hymns until you were desperate for a cup of tea or something stronger. And that tradition is kind of seen as better days. But Phil being Phil, he wanted to breathe a new spirit and breathe new life into this tradition. So he wanted to launch what he called the rockfa gani. Ac yn lle dechrau canu, dechrau camol, he had the strapline, dechrau rocio, dechrau rolio. Which was great. So tonight, we're going to have a bit of a rockfa gani together. Dan ni'n mynd I dechrau rocio, dechrau rolio gyda'n gilydd heno. Now, Martin Luther King once said, "I am many things to many people. Civil rights leader, agitator, troublemaker, and orator. But in the quiet recesses of my heart, I am fundamentally a clergyman, a Baptist preacher." And you could easily say something similar about Phil. He was many things to many people. I'm looking at this room tonight, and there's friends from all different directions and circles Phil turned in. He was a Welsh independence campaigner. And funnily enough, he didn't see that as something political. He just thought it's just normal for a country to be independent and not be ruled by another country. He had friends who were witches. He was a musician, and yes, he was a little bit of a troublemaker. But, like Luther King, in the quiet recesses of his heart, he was still fundamentally a pastor and a preacher. So that's why we are here tonight in a chapel, and that's why we are going to join in this rocfagani in his honour tonight. So, gyda hynny o eiriau, dwi'n mynd i handio drosto i trei ar band nawr sy'n mynd i arwain ni mewn dwy emyn. Felly, dwi isio... Mae'r band yn swnio'n ffantastig, nes i glywed nhw'n ymarfer, ond dwi eisiau ni gyd ganu. The band sound amazing. I heard them practicing earlier, but I want us all to be singing together. Sing in whatever language you want. There'll be words in Welsh and English on the screen. Sing at the same time, but not in competition. Honest. Gobeithio newch chi fwynhau y noson.
Da ni yma I chi gael canu heno. We're here so that you can sing tonight. Byddwn ni'n canu am gariad Duw. Ond os da chi eisiau meddwl am cariad Phil, mae hynna'n wych hefyd. We're here to sing about God's love. You want to sing about Phil's love, that's fine too. Allai'n peidio meddwl am Phil trwy ganiad gyneuon yma I gyd. I can't help but think about Phil as we sing these songs. So, fedrwch chi sefyll, please. Can you stand with us? Dyma gariad fel y moroi, tosiriaeth a'i fel y si, twasodd bywyd hir yn marw, marw I gynnu'n bywyd ni. Pwy a beidio cofio amdano, pwy a beidio dweud I Zachariad megistiliw. Dras Zachariad megistiliw, yn amdawad dy mangyd,
chyfiawn der pyr a hedwch yn cusanu eog byd.
Gawn ni ddal ati gan ni. Let's continue to sing. Un o ganeuon y 70au, one of the songs of the 70s. Fel yr hyd a fref am ddyfrwy, felly mae fy enau ni. Ond hei am fod yn agos mwyn profi oedd gwmni ni. Ti dy hun yw fy nerth am tŵr, a chydaddu rwyf yn ein siŵr. Mae tydi yw sef fy nghalon a ddolaf di. Gwell o'i ti'n agair ac arian, dim ond ti ar llenwi'n bryd. Ti dy hun rydd i wyl a wenydd, rwy ti werth y byd i gyd. Ti dy hun yw fy nerth am tŵr, a chydaddu rwyf yn ein siŵr. Ydy yw sef fy nghalon ac wyf a ddolaf di. Ti yw mrawd. Ti yw mrawd a thi yw nghofail lle mae brenin y dwy ti. Caraf di gan mil gwell na'r cwbl mwy na phawb a phobeth ti. Ti dy hun yw fy nerth am tŵr, a chydaddu rwyf yn ein siŵr. Mae tydi yw sech fy nghalon ac o ddiw a ddolaf di. Ac o ddiw a ddolaf di. Fedrwch chi eistedd. You can sit.
Rhoi y meicroffon i'r wraig, mae'n beth peryglus.
Helo, noswaith dda. Felly, Dwi'n mynd i wneud slot dim Saesneg. So, byddai ddim yn siarad Saesneg yn y slot yma. Byddai wneud hwn yn Gymraeg, yn teyrnged i'r daith oedd Phil yn mynd i wneud. Ond mae 'da fi rhai props fel cyfieithiadau. Dwi wedi sgwennu soned. A oedd Phil wedi sgwennu lot o sonedau, actually. Dwi'n meddwl oedd e'n honni bod wedi sgwennu rhyw 120 o sonedau. Felly, dyna pham o'n i'n awyddus i sgwennu soned fach cof am Phil. Sgen i ddim fersiwn Saesneg o'r gerdd yma, ond fi wedi rhoi trwy Google Translate. Sef beth oedd Phil yn neud gyda'i vlogs mwyn paratoi ar gyfer y daith. A mae soned fi wedi selio ar Psalm 23. Falle bydd rhai chi'n gwybod beth yw'r cyfeiriad i'r wedi croesi allan fyna. Psalm 23, a dwi'n mynd i ddarllen y psalm yna nawr, a bydd y geiriau Saesneg ar y sgrin. Felly Psalm 23. Yr arglwydd yw fy migael, ni bydd eisiau arnaf. Gwnai mi orwedd mewn porfeidd breision, a thywys fi gerllaw dyfroedd tawel. Ac y mae ef yn fy adfywio. Fy mharwain ar hyd llwybrau cyfiawnder mwyn ei enw. Mi gerdded trwy ddyffryn tywyll di, nid ofnaf unrhyw niwed, oherwydd yr wyt ti gyda mi. Ath wialen ath ffon yn fy nghysuro. Yr wyt yn arlwyo bwrdd o'n blaen yng ngwydd fy ngelynion. Yr wyt yn eneinio fy mhen ag olew. Y mae fy nghwpan yn llawn. Yn sicr, bydd daioni a thrigaredd yn fy nilyn bob dydd o mywyd, a byddaf yn byw yn hir arglwydd, weddill fynyddiau. A nawr, y soned gyda cyfieithiad Google Translate. Felly, dwi am trio darllen gyda bach o wmff. Oedd Phil wedi perfformio cerdd anhygoel am profiad o fod yn ddysgwr yn y Steddfod yn Gwyl Ares Thomas. A mae fe'n darllen y gerdd ar YouTube. Ond oedd e'n cwyno bod pobl eraill ddim yn rhoi digon o berfformiad yn yr wyl yma. Felly dwi'n mynd i trio rhoi mwy o perfformiad. Felly, bydd y geiriau Saesneg ar y sgrin. Tyrd am dro, ti'n dweud, a chodi pac. Heb adael pethau'r byd i ddal di nôl. Y bugail da sy'n arwain hyd y trac a'i gariad ddawydd-gario dros y ddôl. Dyffryn dyd wrthod, gwnes dy nith ymhlith y 2 neu 3 mewn pub a gwyl. Syniadau gwyllt, y sgwrs a gydiau'n syth. Y carnifal o ddyn yn syrffio'r hwyl. Gwnes le i bawb gael eistedd wrth y bwrdd, i brofi cwpan llawn trigaredd nef. Dysyched am gyfiawnder yn cydgwrdd a Chymru'n camu mlaen i godi llef. Bu hadau teyrnas nefoedd yn dylaw. O'r pridd daw gwreiddyn newydd wedi'r glaw. A please, newch chi trystio fi, oedd hwnna'n lot gwell yn Gymraeg na oedd yn Saesneg. Felly fi jyst eisiau dweud diolch yn fawr. Diolch i Dduw am Phil. Diolch am I alwad a'i weledigaethau. A popeth oedd yn golygu I ni fel teulu a yn Caernarfon a Chymru gyfan. A fi eisiau diolch yn arbennig i Elijah a Rachel am dod yma. I want to thank you, Elijah and Rachel, for coming here this week. It's been a massive blessing to have you here and to spend time with you. And please know that you're welcome here anytime. Diolch. Fi fod cyflwyno'r person nesaf. So dwi'n falch iawn o cyflwyno Sarah nawr. A mae Sarah yn mynd i ganu 2 gan i ni. Sarah Zybroska. So Sarah's going to sing a few songs for us now. So over to you, Sarah.
Good evening. Ges i'r fraint o neud gig efo Phil rhyw fis yn ôl yn llety arall. I played a gig with Phil about a month ago in llety arall in Caernarfon. And he did his whole set in Welsh, which was amazing. And he performed this song that I'm going to do now. He'd actually translated it into Welsh. It's a song by the Weepies. He said it was his favourite song that night and that it meant a lot to him. I'm just going to do the English one because I don't know where he kept his lyrics. So maybe we can find them and do it in Welsh next time we get together. It's The World Spins Madly On. So Phil was always very kind to me and a constant friend. I met him about 15 years ago on MySpace. I was trying to find a way of getting to America to do some gigs, and I reached out to some people that had any kind of connection with Wales online. And a lot of people sort of sent messages, like kind of half-hearted messages about how they might help me, but not Phil. Phil kind of said something like, "We'll get you there." And he did. That's the kind of thing he would do. And I got to America, and he'd organised a band who had learnt my songs. He'd booked gigs. He even drove me up to Vermont to do a gig. He was just always so full of enthusiasm and love. And we were very lucky. And he also, in 2019, married us in Porthaethwy, which was very special. And I'll never forget that. So, diolch yn fawr Phil am bob dim nes ti wneud I ni, Charity. So, this is a song that I played when I went over to Salem. And Phil said this was his favourite song of mine. He told me that last month at the gig. So I thought this might be a nice one to do. And it's also a song that I wrote about Caernarfon, which he loved. And I'm glad he got to spend his last year here. So enw hwn di Promenade.
Eistedd ar y wal, sbio dros y môr, dwi'm yn cofio beth sydd wedi bod, ond bod rhywbeth o'i le. Eistedd ar y wal, sbio dros y môr, drafod tennis môn am yr hael yn gostwng, a dwi'n cofio hyn ar y degau yma, pan mae'r gola melyn yn tywynnu trwy'r cymylau ar y gorwel, a gloiw oren ar yr alach yn creu cysgodion sy'n dod siar y tonau wrth y promenad dwi'n cofio hyn. Eistedd ar y walch ben y môr, ychydig is na'r hael, a ma'n hufen iawn toddi ar y walch ben y môr. Tyfer os oes modd mynd heibio heb cymryd set am promenad Gaernarfon sydd yn syllu ar y byd sy'n pasio ar gychod ac ar y goesa, a gloiw oren ar yr alach yn creu cysgodion sy'n dawnsio ar y tonau wrth y promenad dwi'n cofio hyn. Ar y degau yma, mae'r gola melyn yn tywynnu trwy'r cymylau ar y gorwel, a gloiw oren ar yr alarch yn creu cysgodion sy'n dawnsio ar y tonau wrth y promenad dwi'n cofio hyn. Wrth y promenad dwi'n cofio hyn. Wrth y promenad dwi'n cofio Phil. Diolch yn fawr.
Gai jyst yn sydyn deud diolch i'r Rhys am enna hefyd am trefnu ac am bob dim maen nhw wedi wneud i wneud heddiw a yr wythnosau dwytha'n bosib, so diolch.
Diolch fawr iawn, Sarah, am hynna. Oedd hwnna'n wirioneddol hyfryd. So, mae'n benwythnos Glastonbury. Ag dyna lle fasa Phil wedi bod heno. Oedd wedi bod yn mynd i Glastonbury pob haf ers rhai blynyddoedd. It's Glastonbury weekend. I'm not sure who's playing tonight. It's not as good as what's going on here, I'm sure. Who's tonight? Arctic Monkeys. Foo Fighters. Okay, so Dr. Well, okay, a little, yeah, okay, anyway. Ond, so, fasa Phil wedi bod in Glastonbury. Phil would have been in Glastonbury tonight, working with the Iona community, and some of his friends in Glastonbury have sent a message now, so we're just gonna watch that now together.
Hello, I'm Suzanne. I'm part of the Iona community and worked with Phil for the past 3 years. And I loved the way he talked about God. Just loved it. God was bigger than all of us. God was pure love. And God was wild and mysterious and just like a Californian wave that could toss us about and just, yeah, I love the way he spoke about God.
Hi, Phil brought Californian sunshine to us. He was a real people person. Everybody just loved Phil and he could talk to people so easily. Whoever people were, whatever their background, Phil just sat and within seconds he was listening to them, he was talking with them, and basically they loved him as everybody loved him. Really, really missed. He was a great guy. And Phil, wherever you are, send some of your Californian sunshine to us in Glastonbury. Thank you. Take care.
My abiding memories of Phil are that he was able to connect to everybody. He was able to very quickly form a rapport with a whole range of people who came to visit us here in the ditch in Glastonbury. He had a gift, and people loved him for it. We have people coming asking where he is this year, and I can hear his voice when I sat down. I can imagine what he'd be like this year.
Who would he have gone to see this year?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure wherever he'd have gone, he'd have found people to talk to and gotten on with everybody.
Hi, I'm Diana and I am what Phil always used to refer to as the fairy goth vicar of Glastonbury, and he used to introduce me to all sorts of people, and I have just done one festival and I'm now at Glastonbury Festival, and behind me you will see this is where his hammock would have been were he here with us now, and I know that he would totally not want me to be with you but to be here up in the Iona community space where he spent the last few years at the Glastonbury Festival. The thing I want to say about Phil is just how much he helped me believe in myself. The first time I met him 6.5 years ago when I flew out to Salem, and I wasn't in a great place, and I spent a week just hanging out, and at the end of the week I was in this church listening to people and him telling people all about how to work with pagans, and he suddenly noticed me at the back of the church and he just pointed at me and went, "We see that girl up there, she knows more about pagans than many of you will ever do." Well, I'm not sure if that was ever true, but what it was very affirming, and it's really helped me to know and believe that what I do, what I seek to do all the time in a funny little town in Glastonbury and Somerset will make a difference. So for now, I'm going to say Nos Wydda. I'm going to look forward to being in Wales later on this year because I'm moving to Ruthen, and really looking forward to doing some of the few things that maybe Phil would have done. Loved it all. Bye.
Na ni, hyfryd. And thank you for sending that in. I know some of you are watching this now. You're not watching Arctic Monkeys, you're watching this. So thank you. So, ymlaen ti nawr yw gwahodd Guy i fyny. Guy Toms. Dwi'n gwybod os ti'n gwybod hyn, Guy, ond ti oedd hoff artist Cymraeg, Phil? Yeah. So mae am fraint arbennig i ni bod Guy wedi wneud y daith i fod yma a rhannu rhai caneuon gyda ni heno. Guy Toms, legendary Welsh musician. He was, I mean, if you haven't heard Guy before, once you hear his music, you won't believe me, but he started out in a ska band. Mae'n wir, dydy. But Guy was one of Phil's favourite Welsh musicians, so we're very honoured to have Guy join us tonight and share a few songs. So I'll just keep on talking nervously while he plugs in. Come on, get a move on. You started as... Oh, wow. Could we get a ska band together before the end of the evening? My drum kit is stored away up there. I haven't played it in 10 years, but this might be the night. No. Mae'n amser I bopeth dan y ne, boys. So, yeah, so, hyfryd Guy. Ti eisiau fi godi'r mic? Diolch, Guy.
Helo, symau, noswaith gyfeillion. Dwi'n mynd I gychwyn efo cerdd. I'm going to start with a poem. I found out the news a couple of weeks ago about Phil's death, and I instantly wrote a poem. I react, through words as a songwriter. Nes I ymateb yn syth I farwolaeth Phil. A teimlo rhyw dristwch hefyd bod mod I heb I weld o ers iddo symud I Gymru. I didn't, when he made the move to Wales, I didn't get a chance to meet up with him. But I wrote this instantly because I met him in 2009 in a Washington, D.C. subway. Because we were in the Smithsonian Festival, Wales, taking part in the festival with Latin American music and African American oratory. So 3 different themes to the festival. And Phil was there, yes, to see Wales and enjoy Wales's talents. So yeah, that's where I met him, in a downpour, Washington, D.C. And the area, the Native American name for that area is Tank. So I've included that in the poem. Dyma ni. I have no photo of the time we met in that Tank downpour, clenching golden beers in plastic glasses in a DC subway. The temporary underground bar became a reaction chamber for random Smithsonians to fuse further. Your zany way, your company, your wild theology, your shelter from the storm. We hung out, we jammed, we praised, but never damned. We sworn to abnorm. Phil Wyman, you came to Cymru. Why, man? You told me you felt at home here. Fy nghartref. Ond rwan, ni welaf mahonot fydd. Dim ond cofio dy wen a dy gwmni. Dy ddiwiniaeth, dy farf, a'r foment hwnnw yn DC. Heddwch dy lwch, Phil. Ac yn y car, yn y ffordd yma, o'n i'n meddwl, pa ganeuon, 2 gans. Mae'n anoddach wneud chydig o ganeuon na gydio I wneud set cyfa. Felly, sôn am ddewiniaeth o'n, I was talking about, in the poetry, the poem, the wizard, he was a bit of a wizard, wasn't he? Felly, A mae dewiniaid yn gwneud hyd a lledrith. Felly mae gennau gan o'r nhw hyd o hyd. This song is called Magic Always, but it rhymes in Welsh, you see. So Phil, oedd o'n cario hyd efo fo I bob man. O dewch I mewn, llenwch wydryn, ysteddwch law. Mae'r nos yn wirydd, mae'r nos yn llawn, felly cadwch eich materion ar y lôn. Tan a'i fflamau lawr, yn nghanol stafell, yn halen pawb. Sgyrsia'n ffrwydro'n breichion da, trydan yw trydar yn yr ar. Fedar yn dolau gryw, na'r un gafdel uwch ben. Fachyn hyfen, rheoli'r gwir, os mae'na hyd o hyd. Dros y tir, dros y byd, o'r gryf tan ti'n fyd, hyd o hyd. Iawn, weithiau mae o'n boen, ambell un yn mynd o dan dy groen. Vice versa, toc dawr ha, aw yfed lan a iechyd da. I fedar yn dyn dolau gryw, ar un gafdel uwch ben. Fachyn hyfen, rheoli'r gwir, os mae'na hyd o hyd. Dros y tir, dros y byd, o'r gryf tan ti'n fyd hyd o hyd. O wel, mae'r nos yn goch, straffag enfawr ar ganiad cloch. Ewch i'r blaen, breuddwydion dda, hyd sy'n cadw'r diafoliaid draw. Ni fedar yn dyn dolau gryw, na'r un gafdel uwch ben. Fachyn hyfen, rheoli'r gwir, os mae'na hyd o hyd. Oes mae'na hyd o hyd. Oes mae'na hyd o hyd. Dros y tir, dros y byd, o'r gryf pan ti'n fydd hyd o hyd. O'r gryf tan ti'n fyd hyd o hyd. O'r gryf tan ti'n fyd hyd o hyd. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Dwi ddim yn cymryd mantais o marwolaeth neb I hyrwyddo album newydd. Don. Dwi ddim yn. Ond dwi'n meddwl bod y gan yma'n addas I... Mae o'n... Nes I ysgrifennu hon, ysbrydoliaeth gan y mab. Tyfu fyny dechrau arddegau, eisiau dianc, eisiau gweld y byd, a ddim eisiau mynd i'r ysgol. Ac yn meddwl, nes I sgwennu hon fel ymateb iddo fo. Ond eto, mae Phil fel hyn hefyd. Felly, enw hon di Agorydd. Agorydd is like an opening in the slate mine, or a quarry. But it's not literally about an opening. It's about feeling, you know, alone, cold in the dark, and you want someone to come back with the sunshine. So. I got it. Angen mynd I ffwr I ancor dref Rhyfeddoda sy'n dy ddisgwyl pan dos neb ar dy gef Mae'n profi bydre'r dinas yn wefran chydig bach cyn I ti sylweddoli yr i'r awyr iach I'r pellafoedd gyfaill Lliwia sy'n byddisgwyl di A ddyrnad y enaid fo straeon tan baid a chrysa ti Tydar hael Yn ôl efo chdi A gorydd sy'n Dywyll ac oed heb dda ti Dawnsio dan y ser Cana rownd y tân O'r môr i'r mynydd uchel Siarco a darman Mae'n profi pethau newydd O llanw dros y traeth Sy'n gadael cynfas newydd I bartryma coedd pob chwaith I'r pellafoedd gyfaill Lliwia sy'n dy ddisgwyl di A ddyrnad y enaid fo straeon tan baid a chrysa ti Tydar hael Yn ôl efo chdi A gorydd sy'n Dywyll ac oed heb dda ti I'r pellafoedd gyfaill Lliwia sy'n dy ddisgwyl di A ddyrnad y enaid fo straeon tan baid a chrysa ti Tydar hael Nôl efo chdi A gorydd sy'n Dywyll ac oed Tydar hael Yn ôl efo chdi A gorydd sy'n Dywyll ac oed heb dda ti Diolch yn fawr iawn. Dwi eisiau sreigo hwnna, ond na I barchu. A diolch am y gwadd.
Dwi'n teimlo chydig bach o ffrod, achos mae yna lot o bobl yma ac yn gwylio, oedd yn nabod Phil llawer yn well na fi. Nes I rannu ar Facebook yn diweddar bod fi'n difaru ddim yn dod I nabod e'n well. I shared on Facebook that I regretted not coming to know him better. So I got his book. And his voice comes over very clearly in this. And what I want to do now is, there'll be something else in a bit, but I just want to read some excerpts from his book. And they share a bit about who he was, what drove him, and the challenge that he brought with him. So bear with. Right. This is what Phil said. People everywhere are searching. Some are searching for meaning. Some are searching for fulfillment through success or fame. Some are searching for the panacea of happiness. Many are searching for themselves, as though they have been lost and separated from their own minds, hearts, and bodies. When we look across the landscape of social experience, it appears to be an almost frantic search. And there are people taking advantage of that frenzy by offering solutions for almost anything you might be looking for. Jesus could read the heart of his times. He glanced across the crowds and identified a prevalent struggle within the social fabric of the first century Hebrew culture. People then were like people now. They were without direction. Jesus heard their bleating, shepherdless hearts when he looked across the towns and villages. Philosophers, psychologists, and theologians have identified this search and have tried to define it, often being as driven as the rest of us for an answer. Augustine of Hippo described the wandering ways of the human heart. You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. That tells us a lot about what Phil had on his heart. And then come several words of challenge. Just listen to this and you can hear his voice. According to Jesus, there is nothing particularly special about befriending people who are similar to you. Caring for our family is not something above and beyond the call of duty, and being good to our friends and those who look and act like us is in no way remarkable. These are the simple expectations of everyday life. Jesus speaks directly to us to this and says, if you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. The problem with stepping outside your comfort zone is that you begin to enter into the fear of the unknown. Christian hospitality and love nudges ever so closely to what is often perceived as dangerous territory. It challenges our fear of the unknown by asking us to spend time in the unknown places among unknown people. Do you hear his voice? When we love outrageously, people are drawn to us. And conversations about spirituality occur without provocation. The Apostle Peter told us, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. But most of us don't have friends asking why we are so hopeful. Non-Christian acquaintances are disinterested in our spirituality, but that changes when we offer unconditional love and model an enduring friendship. Authentic interest develops when we spend time with the people others have avoided. Living this adventurous Christian life will provoke questions. It will provoke questions? Yes. Living this adventurous Christian life will provoke questions. When you are a lovable weirdo, people want to know what makes you tick. Our lives become storybooks of great interest when we walk on the edge of the unthinkable. when we spend time with the people others can barely stand, when we go to places others only read about, when we extend ourselves in ways others have only dreamed of, we become a book of the Acts of the Apostles written for people today, and they will want to hear our stories. And then finally, towards the end of the book, he sort of summarizes so many things like this. Our diet, the use of our tongues, the hours we sleep, how we spend our money, where we travel, where we live, all these things belong to God as much as they belong to us. Well, I should say that they belong to God if we belong to God and if we have surrendered our lives to him. Our inability to surrender our concern about money into God's hands is the same oppression that rules over us in every other category of life. It is the systematic oppression of our old betraying friend, the Trinitarian despot. Me, myself, and I. This despot has systematically controlled the lives of every person and is driving us all into self-centered living. Consequently, the cost of going big for God is huge. It costs everything you've ever had and everything you ever will have. But if you will go big with God, he will go big for you. Now then, Elijah, we talked in Rhys and Menna's house the other day, and Rhys happened to mention that I'd written a poem. And of course, we've already had 2, so pressure's on. And Elijah said, Dad would have loved that. And I explained to Elijah that the reason we write so much poetry is that we're all emotionally stunted, and we can't really express our emotions properly without hiding behind something. Oh, so was he. Okay. So, nes I sgwennu y gerdd yma, bach, un byr iawn. Mae'n Gymraeg, I'll do it, there's an English version following. A nes I sgwennu hwn, achos o'n i, ar ôl iddo fe farw, mi ddes i'n nabod y gymaint yn well, a darllen y pethau oedd bobl yn deud dan fe ar Facebook. After he died, I got to know him better, because I read his book and read what people said about him. So dyma sut o'n i'n crynhoi Phil. Bwndel cyffroes a hudolus, o sŵn a dyfnder, o chwerthin a difrifoldeb, o hwyl a dwyster, o gwestiynu a ffydd. Ymdeithydd ar lwybrau troellog, pererin mewn mannau pell, crwydryn a oer yn iawn lle roedd adre, yn gwneud I mi ofyn lle mae'n hartref I. And then in English it's broadly the same. I say broadly because you can't properly translate from one language to another, can you? Complex and enthralling bundle of noise and serenity, of laughter and depth, of doubt and certainty, of setbacks and hope. Traveller of the most circuitous path, pilgrim of the most random places, wanderer who journeyed far and wide, nomad who knew home, nudging me to ask, where is mine?
Yeah. So, felly, un o'r pethau mae Phil wedi bod yn neud dros y flwyddyn diwetha ydy setio fyny noson open mic yn y dre. One of the things Phil has been doing over the past year is setting up an open mic evening, and I know some of his open mic friends are here tonight. Well, I think the elite from the open mic are now taken to the stage. And and they're going to perform what I think was Phil's best song, Postponing Armageddon. This is a hugely emotional song. The words are just wonderful. The tune is just melts over you. And I think there's a part in the song for all of us to join in the singing, so please do that. And while we're on I mentioned the open mic, I see Sue there in the back. I think the cocktail bar is open later, Sue. Am I right? Yeah. So. Oh, okay. So the singing and the celebration and the remembrance is continuing in Sue's cocktail bar later after we're finished here. And for those of you who don't know where the cocktail bar is, it's upstairs in the Pen H. And if you don't know where the Pen H is, just find the castle. It's right in front of the castle. You won't miss it. So diolch Sue. And thank you so much for Sue and the open mic gang, because I know you were a family to him over the past year, and that means so much to us. So diolch meilir ar gang.
Yeah, woo!
Bydd myrdd o bobl yn galaru Phil oherwydd ei bod nhw'n cofio ac yn colli myrdd o ffyrdd oedd o wedi cyffwrdd i bywydau. Yn ystod yr 8 mlynedd ges i fraint o nabod Phil bersonol. Roedden ni wedi dod i ystyried yn gilydd fel brodyr, a dim ond un o'r ffyrdd oedd yn cael ond ni'n cydgerdded. Oedd yn cariad at greu y pherfformio a rhannu cerddoriaeth. Bron i 6 mlynedd yn ôl, ddaru Phil fy nghlwyno i'r gan da ni'n mynd i chanu mewn munud. Ac o'r tro cyntaf i ni chwarae efo'n gilydd, roedd gan Phil a fi foriad i gydweithio'n gerddorol. Wedi ddysymud i Gymru i fyw, ddaru ni ddechrau troi'r bwriad hwnna yn wirionedd. Ond llai na mis yn ôl gefys y newyddion trydanol am Phil. Felly yr unig opsiwn sgyn i rwan ydy gydweithio efo rhai o'r cerddorion eraill mae Phil wedi denu eto. And I'll repeat this in English. A myriad people will be grieving Phil because they're remembering and have been made aware of the loss of the myriad ways in which he touched lives. In the 8 years I knew Phil personally, we came to consider each other brothers. And one of the main reasons our hearts walked the same road was our love for creating, performing and sharing music. 6 years ago, he introduced me to the song we're about to play you. And from the moment we first played it together, we shared an intention to work together musically. Since he moved here to Wales, we had begun to transform that intention into reality. But then, less than a month ago, I heard the tragic news about Phil. Now my only option is to work with some of the musicians that he drew towards himself. Enw'r gan ydy Postponing Armageddon, a mae'n fraint i perfformio hi. The name of the song is Postponing Armageddon, and it's a privilege to perform it for you.
Diolch Gwyn. O'n i wedi nabod Phil ers blwyddyn, bron i flwyddyn, ond dim ond i ddod i nabod o'n dda yn ystod y 3 mis dwytha. I've known Phil for a year or so, but I only got to know him well in the last few months through the open mic that he put on initially in Teagle and Door here in Carnarvon. Oedd yn bleser gael ei nabod o, dwi mor falch bod fi wedi cael ei nabod o. It was a real pleasure to get to know him well in the last 3 months, I felt. And one of the many things I got from Phil was, he showed me that if you're a songwriter and you write songs, you need to get them out there, you need to record them, you need to perform them, even if that feels very daunting. Achos dwi ddim yn berfformiwr, dwi ddim yn canu'n aml. Ond mi oedd Phil hefyd yn gyfansoddwr ac yn sgwennu caneuon, dim jyst caneuon da, ond caneuon oedd yn gafal na chi de, a sgwyd chi, a troi chi ben i wired, nes bob ddim yn disgyn allan o'ch pocedi chi. He could write songs that really
moved you emotionally, which is, of course, the purpose of any song. So, mae bleser cael canu un o'r ganeuon yma heno. A swn i'n licio, oedd Phil hefyd wrth gwrs wrth i fod yn cynnwys y gynulleidfa pan oedd yn perfformio. Phil loved to include the audience when he performed. So, in this song of his, you know, he's got what lots of good pop songs have got, which is a hook, bachyn, rhywbeth i dynnu chi fewn. So it's a very simple, short melody, which is a hook. And it would be great if you could sing if you know the whole thing, you could sing along with me, but if you just sing the hook, that would be nice. And it goes like this. Dod rownd, cwbl weithio yn y gan, os ydwch chi joinio fewn o'r hwnna, sy'n hynny'n wych. So dyma ni Postponing Armageddon. To run away with you tonight. I want to count the stars by firelight. We can number promises they make, and we can call them yours and mine to take. I feel I'm touching heaven in disguise. Postponing Armageddon with your eyes. I feel I'm touching heaven for a while. Postponing Armageddon with your smile. Here we go. When the blood-red moon ascends the sky, we forget these troubling questions. Why? Come with me and hide beneath this dome, under the doomsday sky we call our home. I feel I'm touching heaven in disguise. Postponing Armageddon with your eyes. I feel I'm touching heaven for a while. Postponing Armageddon with your smile. Tonight we both can flee this crumbling world and count the falling stars as they are hurled. Chase away the demons, leave us two, and we will make our wish and pray it's true. I wanna run away with you tonight. I wanna count the stars by firelight. We can number promises they make, call them yours and mine to take. I feel I'm touching heaven in disguise. Postponing Armageddon with your eyes. Feel I'm touching heaven for a while. Postponing Armageddon with your smile. I feel I'm touching heaven in disguise. Postponing Armageddon with your eyes.
touching heaven for a while. Postponing Armageddon with your smile. Efo'n gilydd I Phil.
Now, over the past few weeks, I've been overwhelmed with the reaction to the passing of Phil. We all knew he was well-travelled, to say the least. And we all knew he had connections everywhere. But even then, I've been just overwhelmed with the reaction and the way it's come to light that he touched so many people in so many places in a deep and meaningful way. He had this thing where even if he only met someone once, he made them feel like he was their best friend, you know. And that's been difficult for Elijah over the past few days, because Elijah's been trying to filter who are actually his friends, you know. Because everyone he met, he made us all feel like we were his best friends. From Carlsbad, California, where he pastored for 15 years, to his beloved Salem, witch city, where he shared his psalm readings in the middle of the palm readings. All the festivals he made his home in, from Burning Man to the Appleby Horse Fair, Between the Woods, and even our Eisteddfod Genedlaethol. He even visited a Czech spiritual punk festival. Yes, there is such a thing as a Czech spiritual punk festival, and no surprise, Phil was to be found there. But his most recent and final chapter of his life and ministry was, of course, nomadic. And for Phil, this wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice. He chose to be nomadic because he believed that he was being faithful and essentially being like Jesus was, a man who was on the road to love and bless everyone he met. It was interesting. Before Christians were called Christians, they were known as the people of the way, pobl y ffordd. And nobody modeled that better than Phil. I mean, he was literally on the way to somewhere all the time. But also the way of Jesus. I mean, it wasn't so much what he preached, it was just who he was and the way he was with people. This nomadic calling was one way Phil believed he could be faithful in following Jesus. Now, he died with virtually no earthly possessions. I mean, Elijah, like we sorted it all out in an hour, didn't we? I mean, 4 guitars and 2 kilts. That's pretty much it. He died with virtually no earthly possessions, except for a Martin whose action was so high only him could play, and a Fender Fat Strat that was so red, Elijah is a little bit embarrassed about it. Now, only a guy, myself, and Elijah will understand that joke. He had nothing. He had nothing worldly, yet somehow he had everything. He had nothing, yet he was one of the most fulfilled people I knew, because he had love, he had meaning, and he had a sense of destiny driving him through every chapter in life. Now, a few days before his passing, he posted out a newsletter. And this is what this newsletter started. And, you know, we're wondering if he knew what was coming. He might knew that his health was waning. And this is what he said. This mission to Wales was part birthed out of love and part birthed out of tragedy. These two things are closely related. Love and tragedy. The life of faith is often marked by the intersection of love and tragedy. Like the cross itself, which is both tragic and compassionate. And you know, it's a little bit ironic that we're in a chapel tonight, because Phil had lost faith in institutionalized religion, but he never lost his faith. And this is important for you all to understand that tonight. And he was looking, it was Elijah that pointed this out to me this week. He was looking for a restorative arc in his life story. And Elijah shared something very profound on that GoFundMe page. I mean, you're quite a preacher, Elijah. I don't know if anybody's told you this, but you'll have the mic in a minute, so no pressure. Well, Elijah said on the GoFundMe page last week that we often preach the gospel we ourselves need to hear. And I think that's true of Phil. He preached the gospel he himself needed and wanted to hear. He loved because he wanted to be loved. He made room at the table because he wanted to join in on the table. He accepted because he wanted acceptance. Love Big or Go Home was the title of his most recent book. But where was home for Phil? Was it in California? Was it in Salem? Was it here in Wales? Was it in that rusty Winnebago? Well, I think for Phil, home wasn't a place. Home was where God's Spirit led him. And his home was God himself. That's where he found home. And that home went with him wherever he went to. Because ultimately, Jesus was the ultimate nomadic pastor Phil styled himself on. And of course, Jesus was of no fixed address as well, just like Phil. Home for Phil was a spirit that lived in and through him. 1 Peter tells us, "But in your hearts set apart Christ as Lord. Always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you, to give the reason for the hope that you have." And then the reading goes on to say that you should share about this hope with gentleness and respect. And although he was a powerful preacher, he didn't hit anyone over the head with the Bible. He imparted the love of God in a gentle, in a respectful, in a deep and meaningful way. The reason for hope and love Phil had was simple. It was his faith in Jesus. And he imparted that love in a gentle and loving, in a relational way. The genius of Phil was that he did preach the gospel, but people didn't realize he was doing it. He just did it in a way that was natural to him, in the way he loved and was interested in everyone. He's planted a mustard seed everywhere he's been and in everyone he's met. And although we're going to miss Phil, I'm also looking forward to see how all these mustard seeds He's planted everywhere he goes, in every one of you who's here tonight. I'm looking forward to see how that mustard seed is going to grow, how that mustard seed is going to explode into an explosion of love and hope. Now, this love, a love we in the church know in Jesus, he first experienced this wave of love on the beaches of California. And I believe this wave of love has now carried him to a place of peace. This wave of love has carried him. Now I'm going to stretch the analogies now a little bit. This wave of love, so we're in California now with the waves and the surfing, everything, okay? This wave of love has carried him into, wait for it, an eternal festival, okay? Where, wait for it, the burning Son of Man, the burning man, you see it? Burning Son of Man, Jesus Christ, okay? And in Burning Man, they burn this. Everyone who's familiar with the Burning Man festival, they make this like big art installation and then they just burn it down at the end, you know. But the burning Son of Man shines brightly but never burns out. And what the love and the hope that Phil carries will burn brightly but will never burn out. Diolch I Dduw am Phil Wyman. Pererin. What's pererin in English? A pilgrim. A pilgrim that travelled briefly through our beautiful country, but who is now home in the eternal festival with the burning Son of Man. I'm going to pray now. And if the prayer means anything to you, you can join me in saying an amen at the end. I'm going to pray in Welsh, and Robin is going to pray in English, because I've run out of my English for tonight. And you know, like I can talk like this in English, but I just can't pray in English, because that would be like talking English with my dad. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't come natural. So I'm going to pray in Welsh, and then Robin's going to take over and pray in English. And if the prayer means anything to you, shout an amen at the end. Then Elijah's going to come up and share a few words. Then after Elijah, we'll just sing 2 more songs, then we're done. Then it will be Sue's cocktail. Over to you then, Sue. Gawn ni weddio. O Dduw, Dad yn y nefoedd, i ni'n diolch am dy gariad a dy obaith di i ni. I ni'n diolch bod ni wedi gweld y cariad a'r gobaith yna ym mywyd Phil. Ac i ni'n diolch mai yno ti mi oedd Phil yn gobeithio. I ni'n diolch bod ti'n Dduw sydd wedi rhoi cerddoriaeth yn rodd i ni. I ni'n diolch bod ti yn Dduw sydd wedi rhoi cariad yn rodd i ni. I ni'n diolch bod ti'n Dduw sydd wedi yn galw ni mewn i berthynas efo'n gilydd a perthynas efo ti. A da ni'n diolch bod ni wedi gweld yr hyfrydwch yna ar waith y mywyd Phil. Mewn byd o gasineb, ni'n diolch bod ni wedi gweld cariad yn Phil. Mewn byd o unigrwydd, da ni'n diolch bod ni wedi gweld perthynas a cymuned yn Phil. Ac o Dduw Dad, i ni'n gofyn i ti dyfu yr hedyn mwstard yna. Ti wedi rhoi Phil i blannu ym mhob un ohono ni. Bydd gyda teulu Phil, bydd gyda ni i ffrindiau fe, a helpa ni jyst i ddathlu be oedd Phil a cario ymlaen efo y gobaith a'r weledigaeth a popeth oedd Phil yn sefyll drosto. Yn enw Iesu. Amen.
So, Heavenly Father, we thank you for Phil. Thank you for those of us who knew him and for things that he planted in us. We thank you for the way that he gathered, brought people together, and then introduced you into the mix. We thank you for the way that he's taught us to set our sails in the wind of your Spirit, to let the wind of your Spirit take us where you will blow us. And we thank you for the legacy that he has left in everybody who has known him and has met him. And I pray, Holy Spirit, that you blow, let's mix metaphors, that you water seed, that you nurture, that you grow, so that each of us can come to know you in something of the way that he did, but in that unique way that you've got for each of us. And that we could fulfill our uniqueness and our destinies like Phil did. So we thank you, Heavenly Father. Amen.
So it's an honor to invite Elijah up now just to share a few words. I've spent some time with Elijah this week, only to say I'm not responsible for anything he does or says now.
Thank you, for starters. Yeah. There's 3 types of currencies in the world. There's cash, there's love, and there's time. My dad had no cash, but he was very rich. And I'm so grateful that you guys were here in his life because, as you said, everyone preaches the gospel that they need to hear. The rest of that is, though, that none of us know what we're preaching, and he didn't either. He preached community all day, every day, and you guys were what he needed. I was really grateful for everyone here because when he left California, I knew he wasn't going to make it back. And I knew he wasn't going to tell you shit. Sorry. About his heart condition or his grandfather having the first pig valve transplant. None of that would ever come out because all he wanted to do was live a happy life every minute he was in it. If you're looking for a church here, I don't make a habit of suggesting churches, especially Baptist churches. But in a really real way, Rhys and Mena carry the mantle of my father here in Wales. I've met a lot of preachers, and most of them have let me down. And Rhys and Mena are not that. He was a man who needed a lot of love and a lot of help, and you were the community that he died in. And everyone here, Sarah, who brought us things home. Sue, I heard a lot about you as well. Rhys, Mena, everybody. He used to send me texts with pictures of people vomiting on the side of the road and say, cheers from Wales. Everyone got too drunk tonight. It wasn't Rhys. But yeah, I mean, honestly, he was as wonderful as he was difficult for me. I think any son has a convoluted and beautiful relationship with their parents. But we never said a single mean word between us in my entire memory. So I'm just so grateful that I had an awesome father growing up. He was so amazing to me. We went on many road trips, and he taught me to play guitar. He taught me to surf. He taught me to be friendly to strangers. All of the important things in life I learned through him. But he also taught me to not really care about money. And that's a hard lesson. Yeah. Anyway, I think if there's anything to learn from this whole situation is be more open with your friends and family and let them know about your physical health because these are the things that affect, how long you're here for. And at some point, you run out of time and money. But he hasn't run out of love. Thank you.
Can you please stand with us? We'll keep singing about God's love. On profi cariad Phil. Profi cariad Duw. We'll keep singing about God's love, and you can keep singing about Phil's love, but to experience Phil's love was to experience God's love. I'm really thankful for him.
Glow after their eyes, and galw arnadiri, iddo dadlochi me'ai avon Calvary, ar glwy dymaru, ar dy alwad.
Let's keep singing.
sydd i mi? Beth sydd i mi mwy a melwyn a greulyn o'r gwael y llawr. Dystio rwy'n a Dduw ei gwmni, i'w gystadlu ag Iesu mawr. O am aros, yn ei gariad dyddiau boes. Yn ei gariad dyddiau boes. O am aros, 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 yn ei gariad dyddiau boes. Yn ei gariad
Amen.
Amen, amen. So just diolch yn fawr iawn I bawb am ddod heno. Thank you very much for everyone for coming tonight. And hello and a goodbye to all of you watching from home. What if we have everybody turn around and wave at the camera? You see the camera there? Sorry, Neville, it looks like everybody's waving at you now. Hwyl fawr na ni, a wedyn there's a warm welcome to anyone who wants to come over to Sue's cocktail bar for some drinks and share memories and some more music, I think, later. So, pob endeth bawb, every blessing, and yeah, cariad mawr I chi. Big love to you. Amen.
Ie, diolch am dweud, ni'n cael cadw ni efo gilydd.
Diolch yn fawr, ie. Diolch yn fawr, ie.
Ac oedd y canu fatha,
Off the scale, ydy hwnna.
Ei bryniad.
O, fan'na. O'n i'n sbio ar chdi tro'n adag yna. Go on! Briliant. Hwnna'n briliant.
Hei, dwi'n Siem, sgera pas chdi fanco efo babi. Efo? Sgera pas chdi efo'r babi gen o'n mynd I fod dod I stop. Dal chdi granda hefyd.
Mina. Hello.